Hello and welcome to Hank's Place. Last Hank's Place I was sharing about the crisis of mental illness in the church and Paul's admonition in Ephesians 6:17 and 1 Thessalonians 5:8 to guard our minds. How? By putting on a helmet, which he calls the helmet of the hope of salvation. Salvation in the Greek, sozo, total wellness, restoration, healing, ultimately eternal glory with Jesus. The hope of salvation, that we will be in the glorious presence of God one day without shame. That helmet means we confidently hope for a better tomorrow. Of course, because the God of hope lives within us. I pointed out the community effort, the four friends found in Mark chapter 2, first 12 verses, who brought their paralyzed companion into Jesus' presence. Community is especially important regarding mental health because people thus afflicted usually withdraw, cut themselves off from others, even from God. But we can help, not by telling them to have more faith or that they have sin in their lives that needs cleaning up, or by giving them a to-do list for recovery. No, we can, as they did in Mark, bring the suffering one into the presence of Jesus. I believe Jesus has a particular interest in healing of the mind. Just read Isaiah 61, the first 3 verses. Let me pick up from the end of verse 2. There, Jesus is being sent by and commissioned by Almighty God. To do what? To comfort all who mourn, especially those who mourn in Zion. That means believers who are grieving, sorrowful, lamenting, depressed and distressed over life or life circumstances. Giving them a garland instead of ashes, the oil of gladness instead of mourning, the mantle of praise instead of a spirit of fainting or heaviness. The Message Bible says, giving them a bouquet of roses instead of ashes, messages of joy instead of news of doom, a praising heart instead of a languid spirit. And the New Living Translation says, a crown of beauty for ashes, a joyous blessing instead of mourning, festive praise instead of despair. So they will be called oaks of righteousness, the planting of the Lord. It's God's business, that he may be glorified. Oaks of righteousness, being in right standing with God, approved and acceptable to God, without judgment or criticism, without defect. That is powerful, friend. And it's time people come to Jesus and get the help they need, help that only he can provide, in order that they may come alive.